A lot of people are telling you that Ripple's two huge recent announcements are about to send XRP to $100, and some are even screaming 100,000. And they're quoting Ripple's own chief technology officer, David Schwartz, to back it all up. So today, I'm going to do something the hype channels simply will not do. I'm going to show you what David Schwartz actually said and what he actually meant, the real developments driving this excitement. And then I'm going to give you the completely honest math on those jaw-dropping price targets. Because here's the truth that splits this whole topic in half. Some of those numbers are genuinely possible over the long term, and at least one of them is flat out mathematically impossible. This channel is called Verified, so let's separate the two clearly and honestly. Let's get into it. One honest note first. Everything here is research and perspective to help you understand the story, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and I won't tell you what to buy, sell, or hold. We're going to talk about some enormous price numbers, and I want you to hold every one of them lightly. Do your own research, okay? Let's walk through it. So let's start with the David Schwartz argument, because it's real. It's actually quite clever, and it gets twisted constantly. Years ago, Schwartz made the point that for XRP to work well as a bridge asset for large payments, an extremely low price is actually a problem. Here's the logic, in plain English. If XRP is worth almost nothing, then to move a large amount of value across borders, you'd have to buy and move an enormous quantity of XRP all at once. And buying that much in one go would move the market against you and make the whole transaction expensive and inefficient. A higher XRP price means you need far less XRP to bridge the same amount of value, which reduces that market impact and makes payments smoother and cheaper. That's the real meaning behind the famous line that higher prices make payments cheaper. So it's a genuine, thoughtful argument about liquidity and efficiency. Schwartz wasn't just cheerleading. But here is what that argument does not say. And this is where almost everyone goes wrong. Here's the part the hype accounts always leave out. Schwartz's argument explains why XRP's price could rise as real payment usage grows. It does not mean XRP must hit any specific number like $100 or $10,000. The actual price is set by supply and demand in the open market, not by some figure that's mathematically required for payments to function. And there's an even deeper nuance that is genuinely the key to this entire video, so listen closely. The way XRP is actually used in these payments, through Ripple's technology called on-demand liquidity, is a buy and immediately sell process. A bank converts its local currency into XRP, sends it across the ledger in a few seconds, and the receiver instantly sells that XRP for the destination currency. The XRP is held for seconds. So even massive payment volume creates demand that is fleeting, not permanent, because the XRP gets sold right back almost instantly. Which means enormous transaction volume does not translate one-to-one into a permanently higher price the way the hype crowd implies. This is the single most misunderstood thing in the entire XRP price debate, and almost nobody explains it to you honestly. I just did. Now, let me be fair, because the developments behind all this excitement are real, and they are genuinely positive. Ripple recently secured preliminary approval for a European MiCA license, and Ripple's stablecoin, RLUSD, just officially launched in Japan through its partner SBI. On top of that, there have been real, documented institutional pilots, including a live settlement of a tokenized US Treasury that involved JP Morgan, MasterCard, and Ripple, and it completed in seconds. So this is not nothing. These developments genuinely expand where XRP and Ripple's infrastructure can be used, across both Europe and Asia. That is a real, positive, long-term trend, and I'm not going to downplay it. The only honest question is how much it grows, how fast, and what it realistically does to the price. So let's do the honest math on those price targets, the math the hype videos conveniently never show you. Let's start with $100 XRP. For XRP to reach $100 a coin, its total market value would have to climb to around $10 trillion. Now, is that physically impossible? No. Over a very long time horizon, $10 trillion puts XRP in the realm of a major global asset class. So $100 is wildly ambitious, and getting there would require XRP to genuinely become core financial infrastructure used around the world for many years. But I'm not going to sit here and call it impossible, because it isn't. It's a long-shot dream, not a forecast you can plan your life around. But then there's the $100,000 XRP claim. And this is where I have to be completely straight with you. For XRP to hit $100,000 a coin, its market value would need to reach roughly $10 quadrillion. Let me put that number in perspective for you, because it's hard to even grasp. That is somewhere around 10 to 20 times the value of all the financial assets on the entire planet. Every stock, every bond, all of it, combined, several times over. That is not ambitious. That is mathematically impossible. And that scary big quadrillions figure people throw around to justify it usually comes from derivatives, which is a misleading gross number that massively overstates the actual capital involved. So when someone confidently tells you XRP is going to $100,000, understand that they are not handing you analysis. They are handing you a fantasy with a big number stapled to it. So here is the honest, grounded version of this entire story. The real developments are genuinely good for XRP's long-term role in global finance. David Schwartz's argument legitimately explains why the price could rise as real adoption grows. But the path from where we are today to even $100 is long, uncertain, and depends entirely on sustained, real-world usage that creates lasting demand, not just transient payment volume that gets sold right back in seconds. And anything in the $100,000 range is pure fiction. So the most honest thing I can tell you is this: get genuinely encouraged by the real adoption that's happening. Understand the actual mechanics of how XRP is used, and treat every single sky-high price target from anyone, including me, as a story, not a promise. The grounded investor watches the foundation being built, brick by brick, and quietly ignores the moon math. And let's stay grounded on today, because that's the honest part. XRP is sitting right around $1 inside a broader market that's been weak for weeks. None of these developments have flipped that picture overnight, and that is completely normal. Real adoption builds slowly and quietly. The price catches up later, if and when that real-world usage actually materializes and creates demand that sticks. So let's land this cleanly. Did Ripple make real positive moves? Yes. Absolutely. Does David Schwartz's argument explain why XRP's price could rise with genuine adoption? Yes, it does. Could XRP reach $100 someday? It's a long shot, but I won't call it impossible. Will it hit $100,000? No. That one is mathematically impossible. Full stop. And anyone selling it to you is selling fiction. One of those is grounded optimism. The others are fantasy dressed up as a price target. Watch the foundation, not the fantasy. One last reminder before I go. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Crypto is volatile and genuinely risky, and you should always do your own research before making any decision. My only job here is to give you the real picture, the documented facts, and the honest unknowns so you can think clearly for yourself. If you appreciate getting the verified version instead of the loudest number in the room, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. And tell me in the comments, what's a price you genuinely consider realistic for XRP long term? And do you think those $100,000 calls actually hurt the community's credibility? I read every single one. Take care, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one.